think it's now the time for me to talk about my favorite movie of South by Southwest.
Okay.
It's a movie called The Retrieval.
Mm-hmm.
It's by director, writer, and editor Chris Eska. Chris Eska is a guy that you will want to pay attention to. If this guy does not continue to make brilliant films, I will be very surprised. This film was shot using local crews from Austin. It's set in sort of the cusp of the Civil War. 1864, I think, was the date they put on screen. Essentially, to set it up, we're dealing with three main people. You've got this younger boy who's an ex-slave, and you're dealing with an older man that's also an ex-slave, and then another guy who's a free slave. And the concept of the movie is that the first two guys I mentioned are sent by these white bounty hunters to go find this free slave, this free man, and bring him back because there's a bounty on his head.
Okay.
Hence the title, The Retrieval. So they have to go retrieve this guy, bring him back, and get their cut of the bounty. And so you see that. You see that at the beginning where, like, you know, they do this with a couple other people. The boy gets his money. The guy's keeping food in his mouth. So, you know, the guy's taking care of this kid. This kid's about 12 or 13 years old. So can't really take care of himself, but, you know, responsible enough to go out into the wild, you could say. But he's got a guy that goes with him. Mm-hmm. So essentially, that's the dynamic we're working with. Then you meet this other guy that they're going after. His name is Nate. And the guy that played him is a man named Tashawn Scott, who's also another person that you're going to want to pay attention to. He actually won an acting award at South by Southwest for this role. There's a reason for it. It's really good. This movie, it's a very simple concept. It's a very interesting concept. It's very interesting that, you know, you've got ex-slaves going after free slaves, you know, their own people, you know, pointing fingers. It's like you would think that, like, those people would want to help them out. That's not the case, you know, and it's like the people are people. They're gonna, they want money, they want food, they want shelter, and this is their way of getting it. And so we meet Nate, and Nate is far more noble than this other guy is that's, you know, traveling with this boy. And so this boy sort of becomes obsessed with him as they're trying to bring him back. They essentially get him to come back by saying, oh, your brother's sick and he wants to talk to you, which we know is not necessarily the truth per se. But of course, Nate doesn't know that. So he makes the decision to, okay, travel with these guys. He doesn't trust them. You know, he keeps his distance, but the boy is still fascinated with him. The boy obviously is getting some influence from this guy. Nate is very noble. He has a respect for things that this other guy doesn't. So the boy's drawn to that. But then again, this boy's been traveling with this other guy. So you have this cat and mouse. This tug of war is what I sort of was thinking of. I was like, oh, now he's over in this guy's corner. Oh, now he's over in this guy's corner. Because, you know, you're a teenager. You've got you're looking for a role model. You're looking for a mentor, someone that's going to help get you out of your own mental issues, because this kid totally thinks he's a man. He's like, I'm a man. Like, he actually says it a couple of times, and you're like, you're not a man. Like, you know, as an audience member, you're like, you're still a boy. It's clearly obvious, but, you know, he doesn't want to, you know, deal with that. So basically, these guys are trying to do things to earn the boy's loyalty, and it's fascinating. It's just it's an onion. It's just peeling back the onion. Every scene is different. So interesting enough, the director spoke after the film and said that he was thinking about setting this into modern times, setting it in India, like all these different like he had these ideas for all this movie, and I was just like, nope, Civil War works so well. It has some really good special effects. You wouldn't think that this would happen. You don't notice. There was one I noticed that was an explosion, and you're just kind of like, But it's a low budget movie. Everything else, though, he went on to say, like, oh yeah, this wasn't real, and I was like, wow, like I didn't even notice it. So the effects are really well done. But the movies are the movie, the way I like to put it, it's a road to self-discovery, because it's a road movie, it's a travel movie. You see all these different lush landscapes. You see these guys traveling together, and essentially what it comes down to is that the boy has to make a choice. He has to either turn this guy in, or he can tell him the truth and let him run away. And the end of this movie had about a 2-minute applause.
Yeah.
And what was very interesting about this was that the guy that plays Nate, Sean Scott, I actually spoke to him just real briefly before the movie. And that's actually when I got to see his trophy, which was, his award, which was really, really cool. And then I spoke to him after. Just this tower of a man, huge presence on screen. The nicest guy I probably met at South by Southwest. Guy's going places. He actually had another movie. It's Computer Chess was the name of the movie.
Okay.
He was in that as well. A smaller role, but still, when you've got a couple movies going on that are getting invited to festivals, you're probably doing something right.
Yeah.
But he just I was really enamored by both the man and the character. It's just like he really draws you in. He has this just presence on screen that you're just like, something's happened here.
Yeah.
But I think this was the world premiere.
Okay.
So, and I think that they only showed it twice. So I was the second audience to see this, and you just could tell the audience just ate it up. And it's such an amazing movie. Shot, the cinematography's okay. It's not the best I've seen, but it's just the characters, man. He just wrote this. Eska just writes these characters that just draw you in. The boy, I think, was just some random kid they found in Los Angeles. They did like a casting call, and he said that they just did a random casting call in Los Angeles at this like school, and this kid that plays the boy, he's really good too, shows up, and you're just like, yeah, you buy into it, and it's a really creative concept. I've never really seen a movie like that, where it's kind of like, dealing with that racial aspect of the movie too, because you've got these white bounty hunters, and they're doing these things to get money, and they're stabbing each other in the back, and so there's these just different subplots that you're playing with. But again, the Retrieval, I will do everything in my power to get this to come to cinema. I will tell it to every person that might have some sort of responsibility of getting it to come. And I think it would be really amazing to either get the director or to Sean Scott to come and talk about it, because they just both were just very eloquent about explaining their intentions behind the movie. So I can't wait to see this again.
Yeah.
That was my absolute favorite movie at the festival. And honestly, I read the description, nothing like I was expecting. I was like, oh, that's a movie about the Civil War. There isn't anything else like that at
no
at
period
South by
pieces
Southwest.
at South by Southwest, really.
And I was like, I'll go watch it. And there was a good chance I would have gone and not seen it. And so something happened to where I checked it out. So again, I really liked it. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Probably actually one of my favorite movies I've seen in the last year and a half.
Wow.
At least. So
wow.
I really liked it. And of course, now like Hype Machine Jason, you'll see it and you'll be like, it wasn't really that good. But I'm trying to think of when I saw this. I saw it sort of it was the last day of the festival. It was my first movie of the day. Yeah. So I was fresh.
Yeah.
Fresh eyes on this. I wasn't like, ugh, I've seen all this other stuff and I didn't really like it. Fresh eyes, I liked it.
Yeah.
So there you go.
A Place for Film is recorded at WFIU Studios in Bloomington, Indiana.